of the biggest things plaguing the United States right now is debt. So why do we continue to pile it onto ourselves? Hello and welcome back to week 2 of the road to 500K. This week we're going to be talking about debt, which is one of the biggest issues in the United States. Over 80% of adults have some form of debt if you include mortgages. Now when you start to talk about things like school loans, where school fees are starting to rise at a rate faster than inflation, and credit companies that are targeting youth for credit that they can't even support, then you start to get a real problem on your hands. Now I think one of the first questions we need to ask ourselves is, why is debt so bad? It may seem kind of self-evident because debt is negative money. But there are a lot of financial gurus out there who tend to think that debt is used to leverage your capital. When you don't have any capital, you use debt and you use credit in order to increase your assets, in order to, cause your interest rates, and I mean your positive interest rates, or your return on something to increase so that you can make money. I want to talk to you guys about an example that I just found today, actually, about a YouTuber who, I'm not going to say that he's being dishonest, but his ideas are not in line with mine, I would say. And he believes that you should start investing in real estate with very, very small down payments so that you can afford the actual house and put the rest of it onto a mortgage. And up front, this sounds very like a fantastic promise, but the only issue is that my parents have a rental property, and they can tell you right now that that is not how it goes. You'll have expenses down the line. My parents had to replace an entire ceiling for $10,000. We're having to put on a new roof. We're having to put on a whole bunch of new drywall from destroyed drywall from pipes that are leaking. So this $150,000 house, or whatever this YouTuber is describing, is going to end up costing a lot more in the end. And this is exactly why I suggest that you buy these houses, because if you buy these houses, you can resell those houses for the same amount that you bought them, because houses typically increase in price with the rate of inflation on average. You'll have your ups and downs, but if you sell it at the right time, or if you bide your time, you're going to sell it for the same price or a higher price if you wait for the right market. So with that, investing in real estate is something that you should take a lot of time to consider. Build up your money and only invest in it with cash, because you'll get some returns and you'll be able to reinvest those returns back into a more expensive house or other houses. But the problem is that you really have to invest the time and the energy into the actual house itself as well, or be able to hire somebody who can. And when you're doing that all on credit, you still have to have the obligations to pay back the bank, and you do not want to worry about that while you're trying to work on the house and get it into a livable condition for your renters. So this is just one example of why buying is always going to be better than going through the mortgage. The mortgages are going to charge you a really high interest payment if you choose to go with the smaller down payment, which means that you're going to have an even harder time trying to make back those losses that you've created from just the debt itself. If you're buying a rental property in cash, you have free funds, obviously, and that means that you probably have enough money to allocate cash towards repairs. You have enough money to allocate cash towards, depreciation if it happens. You will end up making money along the same lines, and you won't have to worry about mortgage payments on top of the renters paying you. And if you don't have a renter, then you don't have any issues, because there's no money lost from month to month. So just consider these things whenever you find a financial guru who thinks he has it all figured out. Often I think that they don't consider what their actions are actually going to do, because this can actually ruin you financially, and I don't want this to ruin you financially. I feel that my way is the safe way, and not only is it the safe way, but it's the way that you're going to build your wealth faster than what most people are, and the claims that they have on the internet are ridiculous. going from being poor at 22 years old and going to the age of 26 and becoming a millionaire is unrealistic. Don't set those unrealistic goals for yourself. Set realistic goals, such as owning a $35,000 to $50,000 house by the time you're at the earliest 26, maybe 27, 28, up to 30. I think that's a realistic goal. In fact, I think by 30 you should be able to buy a $150,000 house if you've set up your financials correctly. Now that may be on mortgage, but you're not going to be going for one of those really high interest rate, low down payment mortgages that you get as a first-time home buyer. It would be probably a 15-year, 40% down, 50% down mortgage on that $150,000 house, which is much better. I mean, the more principal you can get on top of that payment, the better. The lower the interest rate, the better. Because sometimes if you have a high enough interest rate, you can pay double for a house in the long run if you look at how the interest actually accumulates. So just be aware, guys. Just think about what you're actually looking. If you want to grow your wealth faster, then you absolutely have to use the capital that you have. You can't use other people's capital because that capital is completely ridden with slowdowns from the negative interest that you have with that debt. Not only that, but you actually have to use your proceedings for the first few years probably in order to pay back the debt. So what you're doing is you're causing this cycle where you'll pay for the capital, or I guess you'll ask somebody for the capital, they'll get their money, their interest rates from you, and then you have to pay back all of that money before you can even start making money. So the realistic thing to do is to wait until you have that much money. And the fastest way to get that money is to put a smaller amount of money inside of another investment. And there are investments that don't require very much money at all. So investments are going to be something that we talk about in another video, but one thing that you can do to start decreasing your debt and increasing the amount of capital that you have on hand is to start a budget. Now, budgeting and planning are going to be the main topic of next week's video, but just for a short while, I'm going to talk to you guys about the power of planning and budgeting, because I think a lot of people have a misconception that they don't have enough money to invest. And these people are making $30,000 a year plus. And if you have $30,000 a year and no other obligations other than the fact that you need to feed yourself and you need to house yourself, then you've got a lot of money coming in every month that you really don't need. So use that money, leverage it, put it in investments, because right now, while you're young, you can work hard and you can work all the time without wearing out, and that money will pay it for itself in the end. You'll have a worry-free 30s, a worry-free 40s, and a worry-free all the way through your retirement if you follow the advice of some of the best gurus out there and just invest that money. So I know you guys are thinking, put your money where your mouth is, Connor, but the thing is that this is part of my journey as well. This is the research that I have done, and this is the math that I have done, where you can't see those exponential gains in a timely manner unless you put the capital up front yourself. And so what I'm urging you guys to do is to start thinking about every dollar that goes into your life. Start planning out where your expenses will go, because I think if you look at it, you'll realize that you have a lot of expenses inside of things like restaurants and going out drinking and partying and clothing. All of these things that normally you just think, well, this is part of my lifestyle. You can eliminate a lot of that and still have a very quality lifestyle. One of the biggest expenses inside of somebody's life who's young are hobbies, and hobbies are drainers of cash. I would know because I like building computers, and computers are expensive. They cost a lot to build, and you can only do it so often, but you have the urge to do it all the time. But think about the fact that you could build a new computer every single year with $1 million in the bank, and you wouldn't even think anything of it. You could build a new computer every year for 20 years, and you would still only spend $40,000 of that $1 million. So think about it that way. In fact, the interest on that $1 million would probably pay for the computers or the hobby or whatever it is itself. So think about those things when you're thinking about investing, because your financial future, your financial independence is what's going to make you worry-free. It's going to be one of the most important things inside of your entire life. So I know that I don't have much experience on the subject, and I'm trying to build my credential and I'm trying to build my knowledge so that I can relay it to you guys. So I suppose if you guys would just trust me on this just a little bit, I guess it doesn't really matter a whole lot, because these videos are a large portion just for myself, to keep myself on track. And these are the views that I believe, because I have been doing a lot of research recently on the concepts of debt and the concepts of how to become wealthy, how to become a millionaire. And I have noticed a very, very common pattern, which is just debt seems to be the most negative thing that the average person could have when trying to build wealth. So I am going to show you guys my financials now for this week 2 update, and I'm going to show you how I've started to nibble away at my debt. I don't have much income coming in right now because my first paycheck doesn't get here until Friday, and I think this video will upload on Wednesday. So next week should be a little bit more interesting. I'll start to just dump money into paying off the credit card. I think I'll get most of the way there. But this week I've also started budgeting, so you'll see a little bit of a change inside my spreadsheet. I've changed the spreadsheet just a little bit, and then I'm started budgeting, and that's going to roll into next week's video, where I tell you guys at least my knowledge and experience with budgeting right now. And in the future I may revisit some of these topics as I gain more knowledge, or as I gain the ability to articulate myself better. So stay tuned. It will get better. I think these videos are getting better every single time I do them. They're quite honestly a pain in the ass because I'm not the best at video and audio, so I try to spend a lot of time learning about it so that you guys aren't looking at something that's looking at and hearing, I guess, something that's just a complete piece of trash. So yeah, right now I guess let's get right into it, and I'll show you guys my spreadsheets. Alright guys, here's my updated spreadsheets. For right now, there's not a whole lot that has changed. I've paid off about $40 from this debt right here, but that's pretty much all that's gone on. I'm getting paid tomorrow, so this number should drop quite a bit, although I had to replace my phone screen, so that number won't change quite as much as I had anticipated. But the other differences inside of this new sheet are the day, hours, and daily pay columns, and also I added on an estimated take-home after taxes. Basically, I just ran it out to 30 days to cover an entire month, and with this estimated take-home after taxes, it'll help me figure out how much money I'm, going to make, which draws into my next new spreadsheet, which is the monthly budget. And the monthly budget is a new thing. I'm still working out the problems with it, but so far it's actually been really, really easy. This is just a budget sheet that they have on the Google Sheets. It's really good, honestly. If you wanted to use more premium software, I would suggest YNAB, which is you need a budget, but it didn't work for me. I've heard it works for a lot of other people, especially people who don't have consistent take-home pay every single month. But other than that, it gives you columns that show you how you're spending your money. It gives you a few extra categories that you can change in the settings there. And then when you go over to this tab, the transactions tab, it allows you to record everything: the description, the categories, the amounts, and the date that it took place. So if you guys want to start a spreadsheet just like this, then feel free. I'm having a good time with it, but that's all the updates that I have for this week. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you enjoy the content, and I hope to see you guys next week.